Hello and welcome to Kerbal Career Program. I am Jim, aka Sachimula Beta, and this week I am going back to Minmus to recover some ore. That's the first thing we're going to do. We also need to get ready for our Dune missions. We're still mapping satellites. So we got to put an orbital station around Minmus and the Mun as well. So these are going to be the missions we do, probably at least the Minmus station and getting that ore. So I have an ore return vehicle to go to Minmus and come back. It's a little goofy looking, but I think it makes sense, or it'll make sense what it all does once we launch. So I'm just going to go ahead and launch. Everything's ready to go, or should be. Hopefully, all the numbers check out. But this is going to go to Minmus, pick up a certain amount of ore, and then come back. So let's go ahead and launch. And this is as simple a rocket as I could build doing this. I already spilled on myself. There are other ways to get ore back to Kerbin, but this is the, like, going directly there, picking the ore up, and coming directly back, all with the same vehicle thing. So we don't have a separate lander or anything like that. We just have all in one. So very basic, beginnings of the launch. Do the gravity turn. This is our Delta Heavy style launch vehicle. Way more than necessary to get it into orbit, or really even to get it to Minmus. But doing the gravity turn a little too fast. I want to make sure that I have as much Delta V as possible at Minmus to get there and get the ore off of Minmus, the surface of Minmus, and then back, which I have tons. I will have tons when I get there, and I will probably end up with bringing some fuel back. So this is basically an overbuilt rocket, but it's to make it easy on the other end. We could do this much more efficiently, but money is not a huge object at this point. More, I'm still just trying to collect science and complete missions, and I'll get enough money off this mission to make it worthwhile. But we're just going for as high in orbit as we can get, or high in apoapsis as we can get, with this the boosters and core stage. Boosters are of course feeding in to the main stage, and then they will fall away here any second. I'll flame out, and they go away. And we continue on orbit. Now I can. Oh, they crash into each other. Sometimes they do that on this rocket. So we're going to get a very high orbit with this this first stage. You get damn near out to the Mun on that. Alright. I forgot to deploy my fairing. So here we see the vehicle. Let's see. I think. Oh, did I not put. Oh, no. I forgot to apply. Yeah, what do you call it? Action groups to the solar panels. That's okay. I only need to extend enough solar panels to keep it charged up on the way to Minmus. So I'm not that worried about that. But it's more just going to be a slight pain as opposed to any actual problem. Apoapsis is 7.245 million meters. Close enough. So we'll get ready to do that maneuver with the second stage. I really only burned the second stage a little bit to help with separation. I have Separatrons now, which I haven't been using. I keep forgetting to put on this launch vehicle because those would actually be very helpful. They add a little bit extra expense, but they are useful. I guess they would be both Separatrons and the ullage motors that would aid in this, or retro rockets and ullage motors to help separate the stages. Snow comes, don't press the keyboard. Thank you. We overshot a little bit, but that doesn't really... This is not the important maneuver. So we've got to plan our maneuver for Minmus. Set Minmus as target. Set as target. There we go. See if we can do this at the ascending node. Do this in one burn. Because we need to match inclinations. Sometimes you're going to make some adjustments on the whole descending node thing. Oh, there we go. Got an encounter. Oh, that looks good. More or less. Okay, yeah, that looks fine. 27 seconds in 1 day. So I'll have to burn, or have to time warp to that. Let's see, where am I at? Reference to my... And this has got enough delta V to do the transfer burn, the insertion burn, and actually begin the landing as well. So I'm going to use this stage, as much of this stage as I can, just to make my life easier and save absolutely as much as possible for the ascent, which I don't think I will need, given I checked the values on this with a fully loaded tank. And it's not particularly high, or the needs are not particularly high, but it is there. So this means we return a little fuel. And this is actually based on my previous resource lander that I designed for actually transferring ore to orbit for a refueling station in Minmus. You see that 0.1 meters per second is enough to throw it completely off. So you got to watch the map, but just that 1 meter per second difference was enough to put us on a collision course with overshot again. I gotta turn the thrust down on this thing, I think. I just can't seem to get it where it needs to be. So, thrust limiter. Can't do this on a real rocket, but we'll take advantage of this. Did it again. I've moved from my original... Yeah, come on. Just wish I put RCS on this. I didn't think about it for doing these maneuvers. Good enough. That nice, weird orbital trajectory. But, we'll never get to that second orbit. We're gonna get that apoapsis down to 72,000 or thereabouts. All right, cool. Oh, this is gonna take a long time. I got to turn the thrust limiter back up. 11 seconds. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. That number seemed very wrong, and it was. Okay, now let's see here. Just getting into orbit, and once we're in orbit, and I'm doing the 9 days. Oh, geez. I got to remember to collect science from the Minmus base and the Mun base number 2. Both of those are producing science at a pretty high clip. Mun base 1 only has 1 scientist on it, and not as many instruments, so it's actually collecting much slower. But thanks to this goofy missions that I've had to do for Minmus, I put a resource survey into orbit to see where the best selection of ore was, but for our purposes, that's not actually really important. We just need to collect some ore. Efficiency is not a particular concern. But I do have very good satellite coverage over Minmus, thanks to... That's why I take a lot of missions that ask me to put satellites in orbit of things, because that usually means I get paid to place another ComNet satellite for later missions. So I just make sure I strap a relay dish to whatever I send, and then that way they... yeah, that's fine. I get a little bit extra for free. All right, let's go ahead and drop our orbit down to something a little higher than, like a nice 20-kilometer orbit or thereabouts. That's usually safe. Yeah, that's more than safe. For because there are some tall mountains on Minmus actually, but you know the Mun you can almost skim barely skim surface without usually having too much trouble. But Minmus has enough high mountains. It's not as bad as some of the Jovian moons and stuff like that, but it's still bad enough that you have to watch out for it. And we're going to aim for a flat area right here. And that will be a good location for our little base, or for a little lander to go. And you might notice this lander. I'll show it in a second. But it has the inflatable heat shield on the top of it. This will come in hopefully nose down if I do this right. and that will protect our lander. It's a lot easier than trying to put. Yeah, it just makes it fairly easy to protect this thing. So I've got the everything kind of aimed towards the top. Or I've got the parachutes and stuff mounted to the bottom of it. At the bottom of it says that will be it will be landing nose down, basically. If everything works out, but the drag on that heat shield is usually sufficient to, if you can keep it in the right orientation to begin with, it will stay that way. And this is actually not necessary when I'm doing this extra maneuver. We could go straight from that higher orbit, but since I'm aiming for a very specific spot, this makes it a little bit easier to be more precise. Less lag time for the trajectory, or for the moonlet to rotate around you. So let's see. This will be good. Right about here. Nice big target. We're going to have to adjust this way probably, because we want it to land here, but once the planetoid will or the moonlet will move around it, Minmus will move on its or its axis, and it will adjust our landing spot. See, now it's creeping back into onto these flats. And I might have actually been a little too conservative about how much I moved it, but I think I'm pretty close. I want to make sure those burn immediately when I separate. So I'm actually going to move this back a little bit. We'll get a little rotation. But this should put me right on a good landing path. Sadly, I can't keep this stage attached. Otherwise, I would just try and land on its tip, but it won't be able to deploy its drills from up on top of that stack. So we gotta worry about that. Retract solar panel. Deploy one. Where's my? I seem to have lost my antennas. I thought I put antennas on here. There's antennas in the other version. Well, that's a bit of a problem. Although I think I have enough satellite coverage that relay satellite coverage that it won't matter, but it's still. Oops. Well, yeah, appears to be I'm okay. I've still got full signal strength. I got a couple bounces there. All right. Oh. I didn't think about that. I forgot that wasn't actually empty. Well, if anything, I need to go. I need to point east here. And check my. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Well, we're all good. Everything's fine. We're all fine down here. right, so I've definitely learned that I don't trust the Kerbal Engineer readout for suicide burn distance, but I do trust this better burn time indicator. It's not exactly correct, but it's really close. Go ahead and deploy the landing gear. Get 2,300 meters per second of delta V. I will lose some of that as I load ore, but all right, we're looking pretty good here. Basically just burning at retrograde to get my craft going in a mostly vertical direction. See my shadow there. That's a good indicator of where you are too, like how far you are from the planet. You can have a rough idea of how big your shadow is versus your the size of your craft. Obviously, the smaller your shadow, the further away you are. But it's very helpful if you're trying to eyeball landing, especially if you're playing the game without mods. You know, having a way to eyeball how far you are from the ground is very helpful. All right, we're coming in for a very soft landing here. .3 meters per second, pretty good. Okay, so we gotta extend solar panels, extend solar panels. Extend solar panels, because we gotta have a lot of power to run these drills. I don't actually know how much we need, but we got plenty of battery power and all that stuff, so it should be enough to collect. We're not running an ISRU, so it's not quite so power intensive. Extend solar panels. We also need to extend our radiators. All right. And then we'll deploy our drill. So I should save the game too when I'm here. Start surface harvesting. Deploy drill. Start surface harvesting. All right, we're harvesting ore. Awesome. It will take a while for this to fill up. So in the meantime, one of the things I want to do is switch to my Minmus base. And we'll collect a little data from there. And we're going to do the, I guarantee this has got, well, no, it's only got 186,000, or 186 science. But we might as well send it. I've actually, while I was off, I've been unlocking some of the aerodynamic stuff, the lower science things, although it's still a bit moot. I should probably be concentrating on just the other rocket stuff, because the aerodynamics are not super useful until I can actually do space planes, until I get the Rapier engines, which are the one of the higher tier parts. I think they require 1,000 science to unlock just the Rapier engines, so gotta probably concentrate more on ion engines. Now we'll check Munbase 1 to see how much it's actually got. Our one scientist plugging away. All right, let's see. Oh, it's got a full, almost full science. Well, good for you, Dakin. Let's warp around to the day side. Transmit science and clean experiments. Alright, let's check the data I have in here. No. Okay. Nothing I can use in the, in here yet, but that's alright. Alright, cool. Tracking station. Go to the Undermun base, which is sitting at the poles, and I hope doesn't slide down the mountain that it's sitting on. That would be embarrassing. Had a little problem with placement on this. The craggy mountains. It didn't matter if I was definitely saw the solar panels getting hit with sunlight. It said they were block bright terrain anyway, even though they were lighting up from sunlight. Because you know, why would it be consistent? All right, transmit science from here. And I'm going to go back, and there should be a... there should be ore in my Orlander. Whatever. Yeah, I'm going to probably have to burn off the fuel. I was thinking about it, the way the thing is oriented. If I don't burn off fuel, it's going to be kind of messy, I think, trying to land, but I will probably do that in the transfer back. I can make it a little less efficient than necessary and get rid of some of that excess fuel. All right, so watching these batteries, more importantly. Looks like they don't run out of charge overnight, so that's good. Make sure that all the ore tanks are full. I think I got everything I need. 400 units of ore. All right. Cool. Retract drill. Track drill. And then we will save. I'm being smart about this. And then doing a little quick turn here, and then we don't have to get too high, but we do have to get a little higher than the Mun before we make this turn. Otherwise, we're going to smack at the wall of one of these mountains or something like that. All right. Mountains, hills, I don't know what you would call them. The Highlands of Minmus. Oh, Christ. Oh, well, I already... well, that wasn't what I was planning, but okay. I didn't realize I had enough Delta V on this thing to actually get, or not Delta V, but speed to actually get a landing. So I've got a encounter with Kerbin, so I don't have to do anything else. Other than, I mean, I could burn off this fuel, but I don't think I'm going to. I will go ahead and retract the landing gears, and we'll go ahead and warp to here. I forgot how insanely simple or easy it was to get off Minmus sometimes. If you're not trying to do anything fancy, it's real easy. So we'll retract the radiators. We don't need those. if I read this right, it has me splashing down in the water, which should adjust slightly when I open the heat shield. Which give me a little change. Yeah, so going into the water, that's fine. I could get more money back if I got closer to the Kerbal Space Center, but I don't really care. Actually, I want to keep this one out and get rid of this one. There we go. So that's enough solar power to keep us going until we get to about Mia. Green screen 30 seconds. Oh no, 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 no. I want to be running pro grade. Damn it. Okay. It's okay. We'll be okay. As long as I'm pointing the right direction when we hit the atmosphere. We haven't hit the atmosphere yet. So we're good. Uh-oh. Coming in sideways. Oh no. I was afraid of that weight disparity problem, but it did end up biting me, but I think we're the drag from the parachutes should cause get the right orientation eventually. Just turn off SAS altogether. Oh, hoo, hoo. Turn back on SAS just to stop that spin. Oh, it's a fight between the weight and the aerodynamic drag and all that stuff. That's funny. But that should do it. There we go. Okay, well, all right. So that's good to remember for if we ever do one of these again. I need to give myself a little bit more ballast, maybe at the top. I don't know what you even call it, but or dump more fuel. If I came back empty, I don't think this would have been as much of a problem. Although it might have been. There's also the ore, but everything worked out in the end. That's all that really matters. Now we just wait. The waiting game. This is the fun part. Okay, maintain stability. Wait. Did I actually have to land it? If that's the case, I'm going to be real upset. I've never actually done this mission. Extract ore from Minmus. Damn. Okay. Well, that stinks. I have to do this last bit again, but at least I saved. I think I saved. I hope. I mean, I know I saved after I landed, but I don't have to go do that science nonsense again. Pfft, science. Oh. Ore is full. Okay. Well, we got to relaunch from here, but that's all right. I'll do it like this. Gain a bit of altitude. Get my periapsis down to, say, 80-kilometer orbit. And let's see what the delta V cost will be to get it back down. Alright, I don't need to get it down that far. I just need to get, call it 800 meters per second worth of delta V change. 57 seconds. I can do that. This will give me a little bit better chance of picking my exact target, I think. Inflate heat shield. Almost re-entered there. Didn't want to, but we're fine. So 316 meters per second. Okay, that's good. So I just have to plot a landing more or less. Descent prograde. All right. So I just got to plan more or less to land on a planetary body, or part of the land. Sorry, I don't know why I'm saying it all weird. Right. got 320 meters per second of delta V. I guess my best bet is to try and hit this landmass because I'll have the most. Yeah, I may have to mess with the prayer shoots, but I should be able to hit that landmass without too much trouble. That'll use up all my delta V as well, so that'll be fine. Or all my fuel. Retract our solar panels. We're waiting for the countdown. It's actually good to know that that will do that with this these solar panels, because I do need to do like a one that will go into orbit of into and out orbit of Minmus to deliver fuel for or ore for fuel generation to refuel ships. And cut off. All right, looking good. Point retrograde or prograde. Damn. Point prograde. Sentinel has now mapped 7 of 12 suitable asteroids. Well, that's good. Hopefully this thing can keep on with less fuel. It should have a little bit not as hard a time. Looks like the trajectory is good for a land touchdown. Deploy those drogue shoots. Help, let's let it go now. Actually, turn stability assist off. Whoa, maybe not. Jeez. Louise, what's going on here? Okay, guess I can't trust anything. Let's just point prograde. Well, that was fun. Ugh, instability is fun. I didn't realize that landing on Kerbin meant I actually had to be on land. Not cool. Well, this is just this thrilling video. So slow. I wish I could just. Oh, you could go faster. You could go faster. I could cut some shoots, but I don't. I don't want it actually to go that much faster. I want it to set down nice and still. Here we go. Have to maintain stability for 10 seconds. It's not moving. See if that works. Look at that. All right, whatever. You know, I broke a solar panel in the process, but I can live with that. So silly. $22,000 recovered from parts, and that includes ore. I'm going to take that one to get off the surface of Minmus, because that would be a lot. I think that'll be, actually, it's going to be a lot easier than getting off the Mon. But what are my missions now? I have to position a satellite in synchronous orbit of Duna, build a new orbital station around Duna, build a new orbital station around Minmus, build a new orbital station around the Mun, position a satellite in Colneo orbit around Minmus, and recover Anming and Anming's craft from surface Minmus. New orbital station in a solar orbit, and Lewin from orbit of Kerbin. So this one has to have 2 scientists. I think I have 2 scientists available. Has to have antenna, docking port, can generate power. Has facilities supporting at least 5 Kerbals. Have 2 scientists on the station. Stability, orbit of the sun. Okay. So, we need to build a... First, I gotta see if I have scientists available. Available... Can I sort by type? Forgot. No, I don't have any available scientists. Okay, so I can't do that one. When is the expiration date on that? 21 years. Explore Duna. I had to do a flyby. Which, yeah, I don't actually have to, return from, the flyby. So I can, just get in orbit of Duna. But I can do the orbital station around Minmus. Pilots, 3 pilots. I got plenty of those. Oh, no, I gotta do the asteroid nonsense on that one. So we'll do the Mun. Build a new station that has antenna, docking port, and can generate power. Facility supporting at least 15 Kerbals. That's pretty big, but okay. Have a research lab on the station. Sure. ISRU conversion unit on the station. Have 1,500 or 5,000 of units of ore in your station. Maintain stability for 10 seconds. Put your station in orbit of the Mun. Okay. So... It's interesting. I want to see how big my ore tank is on the... let's see. What kind of ore tanks do I have? I do not have the big ore tanks. I wonder if I have enough science now to get the big ore tanks, because that would be... 992. Experimental science. I need 1,000 to get that. So close. Because I'll just send the ore up from Kerbin, and I won't have to collect it because that's more than I really want to do. 13 years. That Minmus one, I'm probably going to fail that one. I just have a feeling I'm going to lose that money. Yeah, so we'll build a Mun station. But first, I have to go scrounge some science up somewhere, which I'm sure I can do. I need 8 science. I'm sure I can find it on one of my science bases. Oh yeah, 254 science. Oh, not enough electric. Didn't get it because I didn't have enough electric charge. That's interesting. All right, definitely got it that time. So let's go back to the Space Center. Unlock experimental science. And then now we can do this. I don't think it needed that many support for that many Kerbals, I don't think. Let's say 5. If it was 5, that's easy. Yeah, here. So we're doing the MUN 15 Kerbals. Well, all right, 15 Kerbals, Research Lab, ISOU. It doesn't require a cupola module, so that's actually makes things a little easier. We can use a command module instead, Mark 1-3 command pod instead. So that's 3. We'll go ahead and do the science bay. That's 5. And then we'll actually do another. This may be one we have to launch in a couple of launches. We're getting kind of. This is a bigger station, so we may have to do this in several launches. But what I want to do, I don't have metamaterials, but I can do. I can do a similar thing to the cross piece that you get with the metamaterials. Just requires a few extra parts, but I can still make myself a attachment point here, a 4-way attachment point that will be a place where I can add different modules. So that's 8 right there. We need coupling. And then flip this. Then we need a structural 1.2 structural tube. I think I figured out medium short was enough. Yeah. So get this out of here too, or a copy of that, and then I need to do 4 of these radial. Yeah, there we go. All right. So go there. Come on. Snap. There we go. And then part snap. There we go. There we got a 4-way 4-way thing. Because I just have this. In fact, even if I don't have to, I think I'm going to do multiple launches. So, oh yeah, I didn't think about that. Doing 4-way symmetry on these is actually not what I want for design purposes, even though I just gotta remember to swap this out for 4-way symmetry once I actually launch this. Or I guess it doesn't matter. It's pretty well lined up there. Turn off snap on this. That actually looks pretty good. Okay. Um, the reason I don't want to have four-way symmetry is so I can have two separate, two things going in separate directions. Okay, so I need habitat for another, well, 7, but we'll do 8. So I can do 2 of these. Go ahead and do structural. And then do another one of these. I should have. I'm going to make these also be docking tubes, basically, or docking points. So I want to get a structural tube again. Or is it the 1.2 structural tube. Make it long. Medium long, I think, will be enough. There we go. So those will be places where other ships can dock to this. And then going this direction, we'll have our ore units, ore storage. I need these guys. And then I need 5,000 units of ore. How many units of ore is this? 1,500. So 4 of them will be 6,000. Nope. Four of those will be 6,000. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and do the ISRU module. I want a tube. Again, structural tube. Oh. No, that's not what I want. One of these. There we go. And then I want this to be additional fuel storage and ISRUs. Or no. Well, yeah, I can do... Yeah, if I do the ISRUs this way... And then additional fuel storage out this way. Let's see, reroute. There we go. Yeah, I can do some fuel tanks. The same size. These units of ore. And then we'll have the propulsion. The ISRU module should have their own. Let's see. The ISRU module should have their own. They need radiators, so. Let's see, heat management, medium thermal control system. Oh, get rid of that. All right. Just line this up at the end here, because I'm going to have to do this manually on their side. A little adapter tube on here. And then we'll go ahead and put a clampetron on there, even though I don't have any intention of expanding that way. You know, secondary docking port, I guess. I'm not sure, but that looks good. Now we need a power module, which actually these arms are perfect for. There we go. 4 of those should be able to power the ISRUs, although, well, that's still not enough battery storage. And I'm trying to do this in a way that would make sense for launching multiples at once. So instead of doing that, we'll do the power hubs, or power hub. So let's do one more of these, and then one of these. Oh, I gotta reroute that. All right, and then, oh no, that's not actually what I want to do. I want one of these. And another one of the, or then another one of these. Oh no, I remember why I did that in the first place. Yeah, I do want that, because that's going to be the. I do want this on here, because that's going to be the battery storage. That's plenty of spacing. And then instead of having these here, move them up a little bit. Well, yeah, let's see. Yeah, move them up. Because otherwise they're going to block the solar panels. Radial attachment point, just have I want 2. And then have a RCS tank and another battery. Yes, Snookums, can I help you? Alright, come here. And an RCS wheel on the end of this. I'll put an RCS wheel on the end of this arm because I'm going to build a solar array arm that I can deploy. So I need the... Wait, do I not have the long girder section? Well, let's make this a little bit more complicated, but not too much. Let's make sure auto struts turn on for these, because this arm is going to get fairly long. And then I need put one of these at each of these gaps, or each of these intersections, so that should... Nope. Nice Snookums. You know what I should do? I can make this a lot easier on myself. I can do this. And I don't have to worry about lining them up, because I'll just do symmetry. adjust these down. There we go. This is going way over budget, but this is so this is going to be a important hub for later. So I'm going a little bit nuts on how much like what I put on here now, because I know I want to use this later as a hub station. So, and then I can, for when I do this, let me see. Probodobodyne. Give this an antenna. And then we want to have RCS thrusters. Oh, the other thing that needs to go on this end is a small inline reaction wheel. And then we'll have RCS thrusters at the tip and at the base. And that will, oh, right. Should have grabbed the whole thing. There we go. And then that will be able to deploy itself fairly easily. And we will go ahead and turn quad symmetry on here for this, because I want to make sure that I can add the docking ports even if I don't need them. So we're going to launch this in separate pieces, I think. Or at least we're going to redesign. But I want to, basically when I do a space station of any complexity, I will lay the whole thing out. Even if it's not intended to deploy that way, I will still lay the whole thing out in the design window first to make sure that everything fits. You want to have this. Reroute, because I want to have my propulsion system be separate from the rest of the yeah, separate from the rest. So, oh, the other thing I should do is replace this with one of these, and the same thing on the other one, because these make more sense for these modules. The first ones need to have a little bit more breathing room there, but I think other ones can be a little flatter and stubbier. That will give me a little extra room. There we go. Get rid of those. So we'll only really have solar panels going on these two. These are just additional you know, places to do additional attachments. And then we want to do one of these again. As a good way to attach our... Do I have nuclear engines yet? Did I unlock those? I did. That's actually really nice, but I may still go with a conventional rocket for this. So we're going to have our propulsion system using the large RCS tank, and then yeah, so 2 of those is what looks right, which means 1 of these. Oh, that's the other thing I can do. I can want to keep these low. So the thing is, this will be probably launched in. I mean, technically, I can build a rocket big enough now that will launch this whole thing, because I've launched structures like this before, but that seems a little overkill. So I'll probably deploy, you know, let's see, core, and probably power. Which there's no reason the power module has to go down here. This power module can go up here and be even more out of the way. So yeah, probably core and then the power module, and then we'll dock. We'll do these all together, and then the final propulsion system will be. Oh, these can be I could put communications dishes on these. That would be a good use of these additional attachment points. So I will do that. But yeah, this will be a propulsion system. Do I have very heavy rocketry? I do. So oh no, the Rhino's for that. 320 in a vacuum, 310. This is the most efficient vacuum engine out there. So I'm going to give this its own battery. And it's going to need a communications system. Just a Communitron is fine. Because this one is going to be detachable, and that way I can basically continue expanding down this way, and keep this fuel and propulsion system in place. All right. And technically, I think I can get away with not having all of this fuel. Yeah, I can, or in the additional ISIU. I really don't need one of each of these. But I guess it makes it easier to have everything symmetrical when I push it into orbit. So that's what we'll do. We'll do symmetrical. Yeah. I'm going to put RCS thrusters on here. Oh, and its own control wheel. This should have a control wheel as well. But this will have RCS. Top and bottom. Place RCS similarly on these. And on here. Just to help with the stability of the the station. Should we be doing any docking maneuvers? And we'll go ahead and put some on these as well. Yeah, that looks pretty good. So I technically already have a station in orbit of the Mun. I don't know what the docking situation on that is, whether I can bring that in and use this here or not. But it doesn't really matter. We're gonna do a completely new station. It's gonna be awesome here. Very cool. All right, so get that out of here, and then make this symmetrical like that. And bring these in. Line this up with this batteries, lower level. That looks pretty good. Then yeah, these become mounts for big relay dish. Let's see, 115. There you go. The biggest relay dishes. There we go. That looks cool. All right, so now I have to figure out how to get this thing into space. I'm going to have to develop a launcher for it too. So yeah, we'll break this down into its component pieces. And then I'm going to have to build a launcher, and which I'll just base on one of my other launchers, but I'll have to figure out an upper stage that can actually get these into place. Also, would be helpful is a... I'm going to have to build a space tug, too, that can go on top and go up with the first one. So I'm going to have something that has a claw on it and docking port. And RCS and some... a lot of reaction wheels and stuff like that. So let's do that, actually, now. First thing we'll do, we do want to have at least the possibility of a crew, so we'll use a couple of module. On top of that, we'll put one of these. And then a docking port. Well, actually, I think instead of that on the top of there, we want the claw with the docking port on the other end. Because that's actually what's going to attach. And then we'll do the big RCS fuel tank. And a tank of the same size, one of the medium tanks there. Actually, that's probably a bit much. I really just want one of these. And then a structural plate. Not a structural plate, but an adapter. And let's see, I need engines. What's the specific impulse on these two side-mounted engines? 290 and 2 kilonewtons. 290. Okay. This is going to be a fairly uninspiring speed of a craft, but it's mostly meant to actually maneuver using RCS motors, or RCS thrusters. I just realized we need to have reaction wheel and at least one of these batteries. And then some means of recharging. So solar panels all around. Pretty ugly, but it doesn't have to be pretty, and it will do the thing. So Space Tug Mark 1. Doug. Mark 1 Space Tug, and yeah, there we go. So we'll plop that on top of the my Mun Station 2. And let's see, we need to open. And then Space Tug Mark 1 merge. I need to reroute this to that piece. There. So that'll be roughly how the station looks. When it's all deployed, we'll have, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, 12 solar panels. So plenty of power. I won't have to upgrade the power on this again. 2 ISRUs, ore storage for 6,000 units of ore. Expandable further beyond that, and then fuel storage for another, well, yeah, about 3,700 units of liquid fuel besides its main propulsion. So a place for ships to come and dock, pick up extra fuel, and then head on down. We'll go ahead and make this long. Head on their way. So, and then we've got the Space Tug. So this will all get assembled in orbit of Kerbin, and then we will shoot it over to Minmus. How much delta V does it have? 931 meters per second at delta V. I don't have to fill these things up just to get it to. Yeah, 1,600 meters per second at delta V. That should be enough to get it there. We're pushing a big station, so it might actually make sense to assemble some of the stuff in Minmus orbit. It actually is more forgiving and lets me launch smaller vehicles. Or excuse me, Mun orbit. Oh, it's Mun. I'm going to the Mun. That's right. Never mind. I'm going to the Mun. I don't have to worry about that. That's plenty of delta V to get to the Mun, and then I can sit in orbit. And as soon as yeah, that's plenty. I don't have to worry about that. And the one thing I wish that they had added in the, I guess I could just do that. I wanted to have a, I think for the larger version of this, or for the later version of this, for doing Duna, it will make more sense to have nuclear engines. I may put a base similar like this, or a space station similar like this for my Duna. What is my Duna? 9 Kerbals, research lab, viewing cupola. Well, technically I have a viewing cupola on this. But yeah, this may be the, I think this is going to be the beginnings of the design for Duna, except I will replace the drive unit with nuclear engines, because they are millions of times more efficient. Well, not a million times. They're about twice as efficient as the Wolfhound engine, and that will give me a little bit more leeway as far as what I can do when I go to Duna. So yeah, this is actually a good start for building a spacecraft to go to the other planets. It's got plenty of space for habitats, and also room for stored fuel for landers and things like that. I think this is a good place to start. So the one thing I got to figure out is I want to see how much whether I can get this into orbit with my Delta Heavy style. Gotta put a separate decoupler on there. Let's see. Thrust to weight ratio. Atmospheric. No, not atmospheric. Yeah, so the Delta Heavy is not enough to get one of them into launch, but I can definitely. But given what I'm seeing here, I should be able to get two of them. Actually done in 2 missions, so I'm gonna have to figure out how to pack this up. But I don't have to worry too much about creating a new launch vehicle. I'll have to modify this a little bit to take care of having a probe core and stuff like that. I may have to do that because I'm going to be assembling. Oh no, if I do this right, I can send up. Use this probe core to get the other, get it into orbit, and then yeah. So if I launch this piece and then basically from here up, and then from here down, in 2 separate missions, I think that should be enough. So I don't have to do as much with doing that, and I can still assemble. So let's see. 1 station 2. I did a quick save, but first things first, I'm going to add Separatrons onto this. Because I've been meaning to do that. Four Separatrons here. There we go. 4 Separatrons there. We'll go ahead and auto-strut them. Put those in the wrong place. Need to have those here. And also here. What is this 4-inch? Man. This is the, yeah. That's the main part. Okay, main engine, secondary engines. That, alright. Need to add some Separatrons on there as well. There we go. Those should push that away nicely. And keep them from crashing into each other. And yeah, all right. So those will fire. Twitch liquid fuel engine. Oh, it's for the. Yeah, my space tug. Okay, so got that going. So I want to update my Delta Heavy. Yes. Okay. Okay, so this is Mun Station 2A. So this is the going to be the launch vehicle for 2A. So that's actually pretty good the way it's shaped that way. I just got to figure out what I'm going to do with the solar panels. I think what I do is this, which is I basically make another. Oh, that's why. I need a structural tube. What just happened here? Oh, filtered by manufacturer. Okay, structural tube. Oh, the derp. There we go. Move this down a little bit, make it easier to see. There we go. Except I want to replace this. Actually, I want to replace this with a Sepratron, or not Sepratron, but a stack separator. That way they'll be knocked away. This piece will be knocked away, and I can easily get this in, or these two pieces in. There we go. So that's packed. I actually think I should pack the other stuff like that too. Get rid of that. Move this over. Yeah, that won't quite work. Actually, I can just make these shorter. They didn't need to be that long anyway. I have to make sure I stage this right. Okay, well, now I have to see if I can build a rocket that will launch this. More importantly, can I build a fairing for this thing? I think I'm going to make it a little easier on myself and do 3 launches, because I think this is still... make these long again. And then reroute this. Okay, make that the route. To be and then yes, no, come solo. Reroute again. Make this to C. I think actually I'm going to launch 2B first. Because, well, no. Yeah, it doesn't matter, because we just have to load 2A and make sure it has... Station 2A. Is that the... Yeah. We just have to put some solar panels on this, which is actually not a bad idea anyway. Alright, some solar panels. Smack some solar panels on there. Oops. Not cover, probably don't want to cover up the entry port. Okay. And we'll go ahead and put a Communitron on there as well. Just for schnitz and giggles. Okay, so this will... Oh, you know what I do want to have to is... just a couple of lights. Pointing this way to help light up the docking port. There we go. And then let's get another structural tube. Give me a little offset for this, for the sake of the fairing. All right. Well, that's big, but certainly not the biggest I've ever tried to deploy. And I think everything else will be within a similar... is that... All right, go, Snookums, go. Need another structural... Where is it? Then this. Adapter. And then the Delta Heavy. 1.21. Yeah, looks good. Plenty of Delta V. So I think I'm going to go ahead and launch this into LKO, about 100 kilometer. Well, actually, I'll do a parking orbit about 90 kilometers. And we don't need all these crew on here. I will go ahead and put a couple of engineers on here, though, because they help for the ISRU. All right, got plenty of pilots. Was there any requirement around the MUN? Facility for 15 Kerbals, research lab, ISRU, maintain stability position. Okay, did not have any required. Yeah, didn't have a required crew capacity. So, all right. We'd probably deliver the crew on a different mission, realistically, but I'm going to save a little money and not have a separate crew launch, even though that is definitely how they would do it in real life for the safety of the crew. But oh, what's something I got krakened. All right, something was not set to auto strut. And it shook itself apart. We'll figure out what here. Let me see. This is definitely on. Auto strut. On. Auto strut. Auto strut. Aha. Hello. I think you were the culprit. Maybe these too. We will go ahead and start these up too, just for funsies. symmetry on. Like a dum-dum. Okay, doesn't like doing that strut. There. Let's see if we can put it somewhere else, maybe. Nope. All right. Well, thanks. You're being real helpful. Be nice if it said like, "Hey, I can't do that here." Yes, Snookums, can I help you? It's too warm in here right now. I'm sweating. I'm sweating so bad. I don't want you on my lap. Alright. Now those are goofy little struts, but it doesn't matter. Let's try this launch again. You can jump up in my lap. You're capable of doing it. You just don't want to. Is that fair? Is that fair to say? You jump up on things you're not supposed to get on. It's not shaking itself apart? Good enough. Oh, I probably should have... You know what? Revert flight to launch. Be smart about this. We'll save the game. Alright. Save game. SAS and we'll go. This heavy launch vehicle, you know, for the amount of time I've actually spent designing it, really put a lot of work in for my space program so far. It's kind of become the workhorse. Considering the kind of payload that it can put into orbit, it really has been super helpful. And it's relatively cheap, too, comparatively. Considering I can't recover it, the actual cost per launch is pretty low. You know, it's mostly fuel tank. The total project budget on this is not exactly cheap, but the actual individual launch is not bad. Or the total launch is not bad for the actual lift vehicle, launch vehicle. This is still going to be well over the actual budget I'll get back from it, but you know, at this point, I'm just having fun with it. Watching my apoapsis climb. So, like I said, we're aiming for a apoapsis of about 90 kilometers. Oof. Might not make it with that launch. Nope, not gonna make it. Well, that's bad news, Bears. Let's do... they do for the real delta. Just throttle that down. And then not crossfeed and have all 3 stages going at once. What is going... Why is this suddenly my thrust-to-weight ratio worse? Doesn't even make sense. Well, that's weird. Because sort of my thrust-to-weight ratio changed by doing that, which doesn't make sense. Let's see if this is enough. If not, we'll we can supplement this. Oh, of course my thrust-to-weight ratio is lower. I decreased the thrust on my center engine. Duh. Alright, do the gravity turn start. So we'll throttle up that center engine. Basically, that's what I'm doing with the thrust limiter, is just acting as a throttle. When this liquid fuel gets down to almost none on these boosters, we'll go ahead and throttle up. Throttle there. Flame out. I'm hoping this gets me out of the atmosphere. No, almost. Oh, I gotta remember to restage this. There we go. I don't think I got enough thrust to weight on this thing to actually do the thing. Yep, we've already passed our apoapsis. Alright, well, time for the heavier launch vehicle then. I thought I could get away with this, but I do have super heavy rocketry. So second stage. Rhino engine. For that last little push. And then Coupling. 37 to coupler. Basically doing something similar to the Apollo or the Saturn, but don't think we're going to actually have to use the full stack. But let me see here. Mastodon. Snookums. .33 thrust away ratio. 4275 meters per second. Okay. Well, that's a that should get into orbit without any issue. I little question about the other one, and clearly it didn't do it. Orbital station around the Mun. Well, I'm probably gonna break even on this one, but that's okay. I think I'm getting enough money from this contract to break even. I'm gonna launch this first section, and then I am done for the night because I got other stuff to do. I got laundry still that needs to be done. You know what I didn't do is are these auto-strutted? Yes, auto-strut. Okay. Cool. That's good. In here, I will include another battery and 2 reaction wheels, because I'm concerned that this will not be able to turn when it's in orbit without a little bit of extra reaction wheel. Okay, that looks good. Crew is good. Go ahead and launch. My favorite thing, one of the things I've enjoyed about this Making History expansion is if you actually build a 2-scale Saturn V, the thrust on these engines on Kerbal Space Program isn't as good. But if you build a 1-to-1 scale of the Saturn V rocket, the weight of the fuel is so much that it can't get into orbit. It actually can't lift itself off the launch pad. So you have to, if you actually want to make it look like a Saturn V, you have to basically have the fuel in each tank for the primary stages, the first 3 stages. Otherwise, it will not it will not make it to orbit. Which I think is a bit silly. But I guess they didn't want to unbalance the game. I'm not sure. Let's hope I can get to my actual out of the atmosphere. Yes, I can. Can I make it to 90? I can. Oh, I'm still a little low for that. Alright, and I got enough hang time, I think, to actually... The thrust-to-weight ratio on this thing should be plenty to actually get me into orbit in time. So 91 kilometers, that's fine. Uh-oh. Oh, no! Oh, no! Well, it wasn't quite enough. Damn. I was so close. I was 80 meters per second off. All right, well, I'm going to quit for tonight because I'm tired. So, with that absolute disgusting failure, I'm going to call it a night, but I will continue improving this rocket and get a little bit more Delta V out of it, and we will eventually make it to LKO. So thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you next time. Enjoy your evenings or your days, depending on if you're watching this later. Anyway, have a good thing.